to the EthanLive podcast. Today is Monday, November 25th.
No.
Is that right? 25th. Wow.
No.
Moving right along. A couple days from Thanksgiving.
No, it's
How are you doing, Deb?
it's not Monday, is it?
Oh, it's Tuesday. Tuesday. God.
Yeah. I
That
was like,
tells,
oh
tells
my,
you where
I
that tells you where I'm
lost a
at.
day.
Tuesday. All right. Tuesday. Let's try this again. Tuesday, November 25th.
There you go.
But I was right. It's Monday. That'd be weird if Monday was 2 days from Thanksgiving. But
Yeah.
today is a Blasé Day, International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, National Parfait Day, National Play Day with Dad. So some very interesting little days today. A couple little announcements, and then we have a guest with us. I do want to encourage people to go out and get the Ethan Rescue. The children's book is available. Go to EthanAlmighty.com. You can order it. It has some very cool pictures in there. They're all photographs that we made into cartoons. The stories are all real. But as I said on the radio this morning with Dwight and Tony, they're all stories that are real, that are set to a rhyming verse, that are beautifully written, that Dana wrote. And they all teach a lesson, a moral: be kind, treat your animals right. And one of them, Ethan, will gets sick. We talk about a little bit of sickness and illness, but they're really cool, and so we're hoping that people really enjoy those. Let's see, November 30th, this Sunday.
Perfect timing.
I'm sorry.
I said perfect timing before the holidays.
Yeah, November 30th. Yeah, so get your Ethan Rescue book. November 30th is our spay neuter with Louisville Metro Animal. But after that, we're having a fundraiser there at Kendra Scott at the Oxmoor Mall. If you need to buy any jewelry for Christmas, go there, buy it on Sunday. You can even buy it online. And Kendra Scott is offering a percentage of what they sell to come back to Ethan Almighty's blessings. We appreciate that very, very much. Give me a thumbs up, somebody that's out there on Facebook. December 14th, signups aren't out there yet, but on December 14th, we're going to have an ornament decoration. Beep, beep, beep. We're going to have each person that signs up will get a canvas, and also the option to buy a book while you're there and get it autographed and autographed by Ethan. And then I'm going to mention this. I want to try to remember this. I'm going to try to remember this at the end, but also on December 19th for the sentencings of Hardin County. Try to get everybody out there on December 19th to Hardin County. Wear purple, animal abuse awareness color. And so we wanted to talk a little bit more about Hardin County because I found this case extremely fascinating for a multitude of reasons because of sort of the defendant, the age of the defendant, the things that she had done to these animals, the attorneys that represented her, that they had to try it under the old law. I found all this interesting. And so when we were at court one day, ran into our guest, Jeff Reese, and we're so happy that you decided to join us today, Jeff. How are you doing today on Tuesday instead of Monday?
I'm good. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Yeah, Jeff, if you would take a moment to introduce yourself and tell everyone back in 2023, sort of your position and sort of how you got involved from the very beginning with this particular case.
Well, I was an animal control officer here in Hardin County until this past May. We got a call. Chris had gone out there originally, and I think he's the one that testified there at the trial and everything. The other two officers, we got called out there as backup, basically. Once we got on the scene, all the officers, RPD was there, and we were there. We got in the house. Once you step foot out of your truck, you could smell the smell coming from the house like right away.
And I want to warn people, this will be for some people. It won't be for everybody. I understand it, but these are important things to understand and to know. not just because of what these people out there are doing to these animals, but this is also very good information because folks like Jeff, these ACO officers,
Yes.
sometimes have to go into these situations, and then they have to deal with this and live with this. And so I want to make sure to warn everybody there will be some details that you probably don't want to hear, but it's important to know as moving forward, trying to help animals in Kentucky. Sorry to interrupt you, Jeff. I just want to
Right.
get
No, you're
this
fine.
point. Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Nobody should see what we saw. We live with it every day. I think
So
that.
you got there, and immediately when you got out of the car, there was a smell that you could smell.
Oh yeah. So it was. I was on the sidewalk, and
Wow.
you could smell it from there, and I knew it was bad. Didn't know how bad, but sorry, I've got a nosy cat.
That's okay.
So I knew something was really different about this case. And like you said, it's something nobody should see. The general public, I think, thinks animal control officers just catch strays, and that's about all we do. But it's
Uh-huh.
a lot more detailed than people realize. We try to enforce the laws as best we can. We are capable of writing citations for different, you know, laws that are broken. And we do see things just like regular officers do that, people shouldn't see.
Yeah.
But it's not as, I won't say it's as prevalent, these kind of cases, but there's still other things that we are involved in that most people in the general public don't realize.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you get out of the truck that day. You know you can smell that, and you know what that is, and so okay,
Right.
this is not going to be good. Do you guys
Right.
go up to? How do you first get into the house? Do you go up and knock on the door? Does someone come to the door? How does that? How do you get inside?
Well, once the first officer arrived, um, we have to get a warrant to go in. So
Right.
we can't just go in. So once the warrant's there and everything, and we're able to go in and start looking around, gathering evidence and collecting, pictures and things like that. But, as soon as like I said, you saw the smell from the outside, but as soon as you walked in, I mean, you knew it was bad. We kind of started just going through the house, and man, they were just scattered everywhere. So,
Oh.
I
And
think,
there were, I think you told me there were dogs in different stages of death or
yeah,
Decomposing. Yeah.
decomposition.
just about every stage of decomposition is what we ran into.
Wow. How
Um,
did she react when you all came in, Jeff? Was she just showing you around or just
no,
backing off?
from what I remember, when the first officer arrived, I, if I remember correctly, she was just in there watching TV, like nothing was going on. From what I can remember,
Wow.
I never dealt with her. I didn't interact with her. She was already away from the scene, I believe, when I got there.
Okay.
So I didn't really interact with her. So I
Okay.
got there kind of as backup, and then we would to collect evidence. We just had no idea how large a scale we're walking into.
Yeah. Mm.
And
So it
and
was.
you guys, we've talked with a couple AC officers in the past. How
Mhm.
difficult is that for you all? Because I don't know that you guys have any, or do you get any formal training on the how to collect evidence and what to collect in a
Yeah,
In
just
we're
situ-
trained.
horrific case like that?
We're trained. Yeah, we have to take. The main thing is getting pictures and video of what we're witnessing, because as you know, the pictures tell the whole story. So um, we're trained to go in, take the pictures first, get all the evidence we can, and then once all that's done and we've figured out what we're dealing with, then it's the large scale um, collecting of the evidence. So that was probably the hardest part for us. I mean,
I'm
seeing it, of
sure.
course, was horrible, but having to actually remove everything was
Traumatic.
it's traumatic.
Yeah.
You almost kind of have to learn, for me anyway, how to kind of not disassociate yourself as an animal lover. You're pretty heated when you see it. You're pretty angry and upset, and
Sure.
it's a lot to take in. But you kind of have to learn to okay, this is our job, you kind of kick into that mode. You know,
Yeah.
my wife always said, I don't know how you do what you do. And I said,
Right.
you almost have to separate yourself from it, if that makes sense.
So
Uh,
did you all start in the house before you went into the garage area?
yes. I believe they went through the house and then downstairs. I can't remember if we went in the
No.
garage first or downstairs first. I believe we went downstairs first and saw everything that was down there. And then we went in to the garage. Once they opened the big door and went in, we could see, what was in there also.
Oh, goodness.
And those dogs there were and you can speak to this, were doing anything they could to try to survive, whether that was as awful as it sounds, whether that was trying to live off of other animals or
Right.
eating the wood, eating drywall, whatever they could get to.
Right. And I'm sure, as they said in the court, that some of the pups were, they did, even the dogs that had deceased, I think, were doing whatever they can to survive. So, of course, it wasn't their fault, but at the same time, it's nothing you want to see either.
Right, right. Did you all
But
notice the bags of dog food around in
yeah,
there?
yeah, that was part of the evidence collecting as far as taking pictures and stuff. Uh,
Right.
so, you got the sense of, first you walk in, you're like, what in the world? How is this possible?
Why? Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. Why would somebody do this? And then,
Uh-huh.
when you see that there's food here and, you saw the two adult dogs were in good health.
Where where
Yeah.
So
were where were they
Where
at?
were they? Yeah.
they were just in the house, roaming, running free. Most of the pups, I believe, were back in the screened-in porch that was full of feces.
So they
Uh,
were
they,
the
they were
bigger
thin.
dogs, the healthy dogs were sort of roaming the house, but weren't there some dogs that had been deceased in a kind of random spots throughout the house, like a bathroom and
Yeah,
kitchen
it
and
made no sense. There was one in the bathtub. There was one in the entryway to
Oh,
go to the basement. You literally had to step over to get into the basement to go down the
oh
steps.
my goodness.
So
Goodness.
that is a shock to the system. Um, I've never seen, anything to that scale in my life personally. I know other officers have probably seen stuff that have been there, doing it longer. But like you said, it's very traumatic. When you first walk in, you're like, it's like a horror movie.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I
So,
can imagine in some respects you see some of that and you're not even you can't even believe it's real what
believe that
you're
you're seeing it.
right,
Yeah.
and to
you're
think that
right,
somebody was just living in that house.
right. Well, the part that got me is when we went downstairs, there was a dog in a garbage bag folded up in a plastic garbage can, and somebody placed it there. It didn't just jump in there. So
Oh,
it's
sure.
deliberate, and what's going on, obviously.
Yeah.
So trying to fathom and figure out what's going through somebody's head that would do something like that, I don't get it.
No.
Yeah, I think
No.
it's important. Again, it's not going to be for some people, but I think it's important to point out sort of what's happening in different places, like this particular defendant, and because you people see the word animal abuse,
Hmm.
and you automatically want to take action and say don't hurt these animals, and people in their mind probably immediately think of a physical altercation or abuse with something when they hear animal abuse, and that's not
Right.
always the case. These dogs were in a large part intentionally starved to death.
Yeah,
Mhm.
neglect is abuse. If you're not taking care of the animal, feeding them, if they have an injury and you don't take them to get looked at the vet, that, you know, abuse is not just taking something and beating a dog or kicking it,
Right.
that kind of thing. It's, you know, starvation. It's not giving it the proper medical care. There's a long list of things that kind of fall under that category of abuse.
Right.
Unfortunately, Kentucky's laws are behind the times as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So, you know, dog fighting, I think, was the only felony before this trial.
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
it's
One
and
to
that's
get
why it
that
was
And
changed.
that's debatable in Kentucky.
Right,
that's why
right.
it was so
Kentucky's
important to get this passed, and people need to realize and
right.
recognize this case was tried under the old statute.
Right.
And that was at that time called Romeo's Law, and that was why this needed to be. That's why we fought so hard to get Ethan's Law passed, because it defined torture and abuse. It put in there the intent of what in the wanton disregard, because you're right, like not intentionally. What did the prosecutor Eric Carr say during the trial? Neglect is forgetting to feed your dog.
Right.
Remembering not to feed your dog is torture. Like that is abuse. That is torture. And what
Right.
those animals go through when they starve to death is every bit as painful as someone that would beat them with some kind of an object.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
heavens. Yeah.
I mean, take
Yeah.
a person. If a person, try not to eat for 3 or 4 or 5 days.
Oh,
See
yeah.
see
Yeah.
how you feel, and
Right.
imagine that multiplied by whatever, hundred
Yeah.
Right. And
thousand.
to get to the point of desperation where you're going to eat anything
Right.
Well,
that's
Right.
right. Well,
around to
and
try
you
to
know,
survive. Yeah.
anyone who has animals, you know how excited they get so anticipated when it's time to eat, and they can hear you fixing the food, and they can smell the food around, and so those
Right.
poor dogs there knew they have a much better sense of smell than any person. They knew
Right.
there was food in that house,
Food in the
dog
house.
food in the house.
Yeah.
They could hear when the other dogs got fed, and yet
Oh
they were
yeah, I can only
sticking
imagine
up.
what they were thinking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, that was another whole torture into itself, just for
Right.
her to be getting the bags of food out and feeding the dogs that she was feeding.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine. It just the same as to me. That's just me though. I treat my animals like I would my kids.
Uh-huh.
So it's no different than you have a kid in one room and they're not allowed to eat and everybody else gets to eat. I'm
Right.
sure the same thought process goes through their
Well,
mind.
here is sort of a difference. And again, I continue to point this out because we moved from Romeo's Law to Ethan's Law, but that's not enough. There's more that needs to be done. In this particular case, you've got 19 dogs here that were found deceased, and I would say most of them probably by starvation. That's me speaking, and
Hmm.
it's and but it but it's difficult to prosecute that under the old law. It made it a very
Right.
challenging thing. But once
Right.
Ethan's Law passed and you defined that, you had a case in Muhlenberg County where that guy had one dog that he decided
Uh-huh.
he had three dogs, but he had one dog he decided I'm not going to care for anymore. He puts him on the second floor of his house, no food or water up there. The neighbors see him and take a picture of it. That guy got prosecuted and got 5 years for a dog
Uh-huh.
that is still alive because he
Right.
tortured that dog. And now we have this person in Hardin County who's been found guilty of 31 counts of this felony torture under the old statute, mind you.
Right.
And to give, I'm not in the jury room. None of us were in the jury room. The
Right.
sentencing, though, seemed like it was sort of really not in juxtaposition with what the verdict was, right? Because it was
Right.
Right.
2 years, and not only just 2 years for each count, but 2 years concurrently. And so again, I applaud all the people that were on the jury that had to sit through this and listen and see these pictures. That's why, once their service is done, I'd love to talk with a couple of them and kind of get their mind,
Right.
what they were thinking.
Well, I'm sure if they saw the pictures, it's going to be a while before they get that out of their head too.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
those are just terrible. And then uh, to sit through that 3-day process, and then not only that, but then to have on a couple different occasions have their I don't know if credibility is the right word, but then put them on the stand to question them
Yeah.
whether they'd been influenced on two different occasions, one with Ethan and I, and one with Toshi. Um, and I
It
just,
was a lot.
a lot of it, some of the stuff I wanted to say, even up on the stand, was like, I'm not here to influence anyone in any decision. I would think if
Right.
it's my opinion, if anybody on that jury has a dog at home and they had to sit there through 3 days of trial and go home each day to their dog, that's much more of an influence than anything anybody could
Mhm.
say to them.
Right.
For
Right.
sure. Yeah.
It's
Uh,
just it's just a very I applaud that work that you were doing at that time, and I can't even imagine um, having to go through there and collect. And let's just be honest. I mean, we're trying to be nice here when we say collect evidence. You were collecting bodies.
And bones.
yeah, it was bodies and parts of bodies and what we thought was what was left in some cases. Like I said, it was every stage of decomposition that you could see. And, it's how you allow something to get to that point, I'll never understand. Uh,
Right.
but you can't tell me she didn't know right from wrong.
Yeah.
No.
No.
So
No.
that's
She
what
knew.
infuriates.
And I mean, not only that, she was still collecting money from people that
Right.
were paying her
Right.
to train and take care of their dogs, and in some cases their dogs were dead, and she still
Uh-huh.
collected money. I mean, there
Uh-huh.
and that's why part of it is so that's just another part of the and probably fascinating isn't the best word to me, so intriguing to me. Like, I don't
Right.
know what she thought her end game was going to be. At some point she was going to have to be accountable for those dogs.
Yeah. How is she going to continue to put these?
Uh-oh, we lost
Oh,
someone must have called her. But yeah, but how
yeah.
is she going to continue to put these people
Couldn't
off?
pick up their dog. I mean,
That's part of the craziness about this is
uh-huh.
it's been going on apparently longer than what we knew.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
how you think you're going to get? It's just like serial killers to me. Not to be comparing it to the other, but it's similar enough to me to where like I don't get it. I don't understand why people do what they do, but there's got to be an end game to it. So how you think you're going to keep getting away with it? I don't know.
Right.
What goes through
Right.
somebody's head? I've got my opinions on it that I'll keep to myself. But
Well, yeah.
um,
Well, the defense never really offered any kind of explanation either
right,
in any way to defend her of why. There were
and I don't understand how anybody could try to defend any of that.
no, no. I guess that's maybe why he didn't even try. But he was being transparent, so
It's because he brought
Right,
that up
right,
so many times. That's another thing that intrigues me about that is why what goes behind the motivation to even want to uh, defend something like that. Every
yeah.
person has a right to defense. I
right.
completely agree with that. But you are you're a and again, this is Jeff's opinion. You're a prominent attorney. Why do you even want to be associated with anything like that? Is a little questionable to me. But everyone's got a right to defense. But to me,
I got a zoo over
I
here,
just don't
sorry.
know that there's any logical defense. And I would think as soon as those jurors saw the pictures and heard the testimony of what it was like of folks like you, Jeff, that walked into that house,
Right.
Yeah.
there's just no defense to that.
Right.
I've never understood it. Of course, I don't understand the justice system either.
Oh
So
no.
that's just
What's
No.
me.
Jeff, how long were you guys there having to collect all the evidence that you guys
It
had to
was.
collect?
It took us several hours and several trips back and forth to
Oh
from the
goodness.
shelter to there. We got all the ones we found alive out, and
And
started
they're
inspection
at the shelter.
with them.
And they're
Right,
at the shelter now.
right. And once we did that, then we had to come back and start recovering. What was left.
Right,
And
Mhm.
so I can't remember exactly how many trips it took. It was several trips to get everything collected.
right.
So
And
it was
she
very time
hasn't
consuming.
and she hasn't surrendered those pets.
To my knowledge, no.
Yeah, I think that is still the case as of now. I do
Hmm.
think she is going to be asked through the court to for retribution to pay back all the care for those animals, which
As she
obviously
should.
obviously should be the case. I'm hoping that um, a couple things. So before I lose this particular thought, so the two animals that were pretty much healthy, which were her adult animals, those two charges were removed from this particular case, and then unfortunately there were uh, two bodies, two parts of bodies or whatever that they couldn't. It was too hard to determine how they died or what had happened. And those two were removed from the particular case. And then she went to trial for the rest of these animals. Some people came forward with saying that she had my animal, and we know the names of some of those dogs,
Hmm.
Kane and DJ and Katara and Millie. And I'm going to mention Cyrus, although I know that Cyrus isn't part of this case. And there was a lot of folks that we heard while we were in the courtroom that were ashamed that they had allowed and felt bad they had allowed their dog in this person's presence.
I get that, but at the same time, you're paying somebody or
Right.
take care of your animal. You would think you could trust them, especially if they seem to be reputable. So
Uh-huh.
I can't imagine the guilt that they're feeling right,
Dealing with,
have been
yeah.
feeling. I couldn't. It's something hard to live with. My animals are my babies.
Right. Right. Do
So
you know how long she was? I don't think I ever saw. How long was she operating this business in Hardin County? Do you know,
honestly, I'm
Jeff?
I'm not for
I
sure.
don't.
Honestly,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know.
I just was
I,
curious
yeah, I'm not 100% for sure.
because
Um,
obviously her name was out there and people trusted her.
right, and
So,
Yeah,
that's what I mean. You think you got somebody you can trust, and
right.
this
Right.
happens. I can't imagine what they're going through and
Right.
what they're feeling. I mean, just none of those were my dogs, and what I'm feeling and felt. So
Yeah.
I can only imagine what they're feeling.
Yeah.
it's and she had to have a name, a reputation, a site, something out there, because I know she had a dog from
Right.
Maryland, she had a dog from Texas, and then she had some local dogs there. And then there were some other folks that we run into at the courthouse that had I think she was breeding her two dogs and
Uh-huh.
had gotten dogs or puppies from her at that time.
Right. Yeah, we got 12 pups out of there.
Yeah, what were
So
the
Wow.
all right? So these pups that looked like they were more so hers, and that were her dogs, puppies that she was
Live.
probably selling for a good money. What kind of condition were they in?
right, they were thin. Um, they were to me, and this is just my opinion. They were happy to get out of there. You could, as we carried them out, one wrapped his, arms around my arm, like, get me
Oh.
out of here. And
Oh.
I
Mm.
hated what condition they were in, but they didn't know any better. But
Yeah.
they weren't like almost ready to die, but they weren't in the best shape. I'll say
Right.
that.
And were they separated from
In
all
my
these other
opinion,
dogs?
they were the majority of them were back in like a sunroom, a glass sunroom. But the feces was in the room was terrible. The conditions were terrible. Um, the fact that they were in as good a shape as they were is a miracle
Right.
to me.
Goodness.
It's my opinion.
Right.
I know. It
It,
amazes me too, though, that obviously nobody was inside that house at any time during any of this, other than the
That
boyfriend.
that's the to me, I guess the mystery. I don't know who may have came in
Yeah.
and out of there. How anybody
Uh-huh.
could go there and not report it, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
and none of
almost.
it makes
I know the boyfriend sort of made or even, and was it the Debbie? You were in there during the court. Did it seem like it was this boyfriend she had now, or the ex boyfriend
It
that was
was the ex-boyfriend that
she had?
testified.
So she had an ex boyfriend during this
Mhm.
particular time, and he was obviously, maybe he didn't live there, but he was obviously in and out of the house because he
Right.
Exactly.
testified as to what all the struggle she was going through at the time, trying to
Yes.
give her a
Right.
way out. I mean, where are the? I mean, he doesn't live there. I don't know that you could charge him with anything, but I mean, where's your responsibility, dude, to step up and say, hey,
Right.
like something's not right here. We need to get some
You
people
would
involved in
you
this.
would think
Exactly.
people would step up, and quite honestly, the public does a pretty good job of calling us and saying, "Hey, this is what I see. This is what I've heard." And part of being an officer is you get a call, or and we'll go investigate it. It may not be anything,
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
and most of the time it's not. but
Right.
every once in a while you'll come across something that, hey, something's going on here.
Yeah.
So, I give a lot of credit to the public, um, the ones that do call in and say, hey, it may not be
Yeah.
anything. This is what's going on. We encourage people, if you say, if you see something, just like
Oh,
you would
yeah.
if they're humans,
Yeah.
contact
Yeah.
us and we'll investigate it. And if it's something, we'll do what we got to do. And if it's not, then no harm, no harm,
No
but
harm done.
and look,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's
the
Apparently
so,
ones
she's
that
so this little message comment says she's doing this breeding and showing dogs a long time. This person used to be friends with her. It sounded like she'd been doing it for many
I
years.
thought yeah, for several years. And it's also sad, though, that nobody else, as bad as the smell and the stench was, that nobody else in the neighborhood,
that's the part I never understood
yeah,
is how can you not smell that?
smell that. Yeah.
Jeff,
And I
was this a
realize a lot
neighborhood
of,
with was this a neighborhood with houses like right next to one another?
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
cul-de-sac,
yeah, it's a
isn't
little
it?
cul-de-sac,
Yeah.
it's not like, she was out in the country somewhere. So
Right. It was a
as
cul-de-sac.
soon
Yeah.
as, like I said, as soon as I opened my truck door, I could smell something. So how neighbors didn't smell anything, I don't know. They may have.
Exactly.
And I realize a lot of people don't want to get involved in
Involved.
things. They
Right.
don't want any trouble with anything. So that part I sort of understand, but something like this and that kind of smell, something's not right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that part I never understood.
Yeah. That's a
Me
sad part
personally.
of the story. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm. Well,
Again.
it is, what you guys as ACO officers, what you had to see and what some other folks, around the state that we have seen have to see is it's heart wrenching, and there's so many. Uh, I'll say this, Jeff. There's almost in every case, it doesn't even come to court without the hard work
Of
of,
the ace.
of
Uh-huh.
ACO officers or the sheriff's deputies that took the extra step to do something about it, to collect the evidence, to take pictures and do the right thing, or there's not any of these cases that get brought to court.
Right.
Right. Right. And that's what I was saying earlier. A lot of people don't realize what an ACO does,
Uh-huh.
and how much, we can sometimes get involved in cases. And like I said, a lot of times, it's kind of a knock and talk. Hey, keep your dog inside, keep your dog on your property, small things like that. But we do welfare checks on animals,
Uh-huh.
just like, police officers do on humans. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, it's nothing. They're not breaking the law, but every once in a while, you'll come across something that really needs attention. But
Right.
and officers do rely on the public to, you know,
Uh-huh.
there's not enough officers and time in the day to go around looking at everything on our own. So we rely on the public
Exactly.
to, hey, give us a heads up. This might be something to look into. So I
Yeah.
give the public a lot of credit for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. Was there? I got a couple other things we'll touch on, but I wanted to make sure that was there anything with your particular involvement with this house in this particular case that you wanted to make sure to get out there, or did we touch on just about everything that was involved in you guys going in there?
I think we pretty much touched on everything. It was mainly getting everything out of the house, getting all the evidence and things like that. Personally, I would encourage people to, if you see something, you think it's something, call. Like I said,
Mhm.
if it's nothing, it's not a big deal, but that's an officer's job, is to go investigate, go, check things out and see what's going on, make sure animals are getting fed, taken care of. They have the proper shelters and food, water, those things, especially with winter months coming on. And it's just as bad this summer. People will leave their
Yeah.
dogs outside with no water in the summer. So it's something that's unfortunately something officers have to deal with on a daily basis. Um, and like I said, not all the time. It's not something every time, but if you see something, call.
Right.
It's
Right.
an officer's job, to go check things out.
Right. And if there's nothing to hide, there's nothing there. Like
Yeah.
Exactly.
there's not a problem. Everything is good.
Right. And
So
sometimes
she.
it is somebody, you'll see something and, oh, this dog don't go good. It's this, and this, and we'll get out there and it's sick, but it's being treated. But the general public don't know what's going on behind the
Right.
closed door.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
and there's some people, of course, that are just nosy.
Right. No,
But at the same time, I'd rather them call
Yeah,
and it not
then
be
not.
something than nobody not call,
yeah.
and then it turns into something
Yes,
like this.
Yeah. As an
exactly.
ACO officer, you'd rather go out on 100 calls that don't add up to
Exactly.
anything as opposed to one that turned into.
One like you went into. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's a so she has been, and I have intentionally tried my best not to mention her name. I don't,
Mhm.
we were on the radio this morning, and Tony said something about making her famous. It's fine, but I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not going to mention her
No.
name. I'm not going to get her out there. I'm hope so. She was found guilty on. So let me back up 1 second. So the case was brought to the grand jury as misdemeanors. My understanding, the grand jury wanted it raised up because under the old statute, if there were more charges with a particular case in the same case, you could raise those charges up. The grand jury wanted a lot of them as felonies. It's my understanding she was found guilty of 31 felonies, and that would have been at that particular time. Again, the way I'm reading it, she was charged with 19 felonies and 12 misdemeanors. The jury raised them all 31 to felonies,
Yes.
charged with 2 years for each count to run concurrently. The official sentencing that the judge is going to give her is December the 19th in Hardin County. I'm encouraging everyone, anyone that's around there. You got plenty of time. Take off work. It's getting close to the holidays. You got a perfect excuse. Come on down. You need
Right.
a written excuse. I'll write you one. Even says you get out of work today. Come to the courtroom. Wear
Right.
purple. Purple is animal abuse awareness color. There'll be some probably very powerful victim impact statements that day. um, it's my understanding, and again, this is Jeff, that there's a couple things that the judge has the ability to do. That would be to lower the sentence, which I don't
Oh,
think that's going to happen. The other
I
one
no.
hope
would
so.
be he does still have the ability. My understanding, he still has the lawful ability to make some of these sentences run consecutively instead of concurrently. And so right
Hmm.
now she's been charged with 2 years on each count, but she's going to serve it all at the same exact time. If they're consecutively, she would have to serve 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years.
Right.
Or again, people that watch these have heard me preaching for a long time. She should be put into violent offender status. She has committed a felony. She's been convicted of a felony where the victim died and found in serious condition. She should be in violent offender status and be required to serve that 85% of her sentence and
Of
not
her
be
son.
eligible for shock probation, regular probation, or any kind of early release. I think the judge has the ability to do that. But I think I'm hoping we get a lot of support that day. I know
Yes.
there's some folks yesterday that showed up to sign a petition. I'm hoping that the judge takes all of that into account. The jury has given their recommendation, and but it is also their recommendation. Now, 99% of the time, the judge goes with that recommendation. We're hoping that he'll take an extra step here.
Yeah.
For what was done to those animals
Right.
intentionally
Right.
deserves more than what that punishment is right now.
Oh
Yes.
yes. And I
Definitely.
don't know what the outcome will be. I pray that it's with the max, whatever we can do. Um, she deserves, to me, my opinion, she deserves the full sentence.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I hope she serves it all. And
Yeah.
I hope it serves as a warning to other people in the state. And of course, we want the laws, if they need to be changed, let's change them, because this is something that's happening a lot more than people realize
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I
statewide.
think you're
Like
right. And again, we've taken some little small steps the last couple of years,
Mhm.
but we need to take some more small steps to continue. The more small steps we take, we're just going to get further up the ladder. Uh,
Right.
Right.
and
Yeah.
everything we do is to help and secure the protection of these animals that have no voice. They,
Right.
Yeah.
they can't get up and the puppies that you pulled out of there that survived, that are at the shelter, they can't speak up for those conditions they lived in. And so
Right.
that's our responsibility to stand up and say, this isn't right. Like
This is
you
what they
you
suffered.
intentionally
Yeah.
you intentionally chose to do what you did, knowing what it was going to do. And you know why we knew that? Because there are other dead dogs in your house. You know what it's going to do. You're not
Yep.
stupid. You're a very smart person. She was found competent to stand trial.
Right.
And I'm getting worked up, but she needs to serve more time.
Yes,
The
she
punishment
does.
in this case needs to reflect more of the crime that she did.
She
Right.
committed and has
I
been
agree.
found guilty of.
I
Yes.
agree, and I pray
Yeah.
that that's what happens.
Right.
And I will say one more time, like us three, no, there were only 12 people in that jury room, and if it took some kind of, and this is me speculating, it's purely speculation. If it took some kind of uh, reassurance that, hey, because they were stuck for a while, the jury was hung for a little bit. If it
Yes.
took some kind of assurance that, hey, let's find her guilty on these, but we'll give her the lower end of the sentence, we're not there. We don't understand that. I'm very happy that she was found guilty of all these things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the
Everything.
judge will step up and make an example of her, not only for Hardin County but the rest of the state, and say, this: you do these things to these animals, you're going to serve quite a bit of time.
Right. Right.
I hope that's what happens.
I
Yeah.
do too. I do too. I don't know if you're going to be around or off on December 19th, Jeff, but I'll write you a note too, off work. Come to court.
I will try to be there.
Well,
Okay.
Jeff,
This
I
means a
really
lot to me.
appreciate you
Okay.
coming on,
I
and
appreciate you.
Yeah.
the things you had to see with your eyes and smell and experience. I hope no one out there watches ever has to go through.
Right.
I do too, because it's something I've got to live with the rest of my life, and I'm okay with it because if it can change the laws, if it can help,
Right.
anything down the road, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Because that
I,
evidence has to be collected,
right,
unfortunately.
right, and
Or
I
they
can,
walk away. They
right.
walk away way too often because the evidence isn't
They
collected.
do, and
So
you got to make sure you're doing everything the right way and
yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
So
So
there's a lot.
thank you.
No, thank you all for having me on and everything that you all do.
Well,
Yeah.
and Jeff, thanks for coming on. For everyone out there, December 19th, if you're anywhere close to Hardin County in E-Town, come to the courthouse. It's a very nice courthouse. There's plenty of space for you to sit around outside and wait to go in. Wear your purple animal abuse color. We'll go in, show your support for Millie and DJ and Katara and Kane and in the future Cyrus. But for these other dogs that we don't know their name or their stories, come
Right.
show
Right,
support for those animals. They deserve the same thing that any of us do.
right.
Exactly. Very
Well,
well said.
Jeff, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Hope to
Thanks,
see you on the
Jeff.
19th, and thank you for all you